Hi, I'm Coach JZ. Coaching beginner 6U and 8U teams can be challenging, even for an experienced coach like me. That's why I created the Spark offense to help me take my beginner teams from chaos to an effective offense in one practice. In this video, I'm going to give you an overview of the Spark offense, teach you how to prepare and run your first practice. I'll talk about calling plays during the game, and I'll show you how you can customize the Spark offense as your team grows in confidence. I designed the Spark offense for simplicity. Positions are color-coded. Every play uses the same formation, which makes it really easy to get players lined up. It includes high percentage run and pass plays. And I designed it so that every player can get the ball without having to switch positions. I've included notes for every play, including the reasoning behind the play design, along with detailed instructions for each position. You can see these notes in the app by tapping the eye icon on any play. Or if you have the Playmaker X print plan, you can create a PDF or print out a playbook with our play notes style. In this video, I'll use the 5 versus 5 plays for demonstration purposes, but the concepts are the same for other play styles. Just be sure to check the play notes for details on the additional positions. You can install the Spark offense in one practice. Here's how to set yourself up for success. If you don't already have an assistant coach, before you do anything else, recruit one. They don't need to know anything about football, but it's going to make a big difference for you in practice and how you manage that. You maximize repetitions for players. During the game, you're going to have somebody who can tie shoes, tuck shirts, and dry tears that you can focus on the on-field action. So it's really important. It's the first thing that I would do is recruit an assistant coach. Laminate 2 copies of your play card, one for you and one for your assistant. I like to print front and back like this before I laminate. I use my iPad with my older teams, but I just find with the younger teams, just having this card that I can tuck under my arm or drop on the ground or hand to someone else for a second, much more efficient with all the other things that are going on with those younger players. All the position icons in Playmaker are color-coded. So I recommend that you pick up some inexpensive color-coded wristbands. Just go on Amazon and search for assorted wristbands or sweatbands. These are indispensable with younger players. It helps them to learn and remember which position they're playing. But to be honest, I find it helps me to remember who's playing where when I get the inevitable question, wait, which position am I? And I have to try and remember who's where. I can just look at their wrist and go, yeah, you're the red one, you're the quarterback, or you're the orange one, you're the X. It makes it a lot easier to get them lined up, to help them find their job on the card. As a bonus, you can pick up some of these assorted disc cones. This will help with practice, especially when you're teaching new plays and they're learning what the formation is and where they should start on each play. You should also write out a basic practice plan and go over it with your assistant ahead of time. It doesn't have to be a novel, but just some basic bullet points with what you're gonna do at what time during practice. Speaking of practice, let's jump into that now. Flag football is complex, and so, especially with younger players, I don't have the expectation that during the first practice that I'm going to teach them every rule or every bit of terminology. I consider it a win if I can just get them to line up and run a play in the first game. In this video, I'm really going to be focused on install, but I do think it's important for me to give you a couple ideas about how you might want to structure that practice if what we're trying to do is install the Spark offense in one practice before our first game. Set up your drill and position group disc cones ahead of time. We'll talk about position groups in a minute. Next, prepare a very brief intro. I like to give a short overview of the practice plan so the kids know what's coming, and I like to have everyone share their name with bonus points if you can make them laugh. From there, move right into an energetic 5 to 10 minute skills game like Sharks and Minnows. Google it, it's great, it's fun, the kids love it. Then spend 5 minutes on a basic handoff drill, you can Google that too. Be sure to leave yourself about 40 minutes for your Spark install and an opportunity to have a teaching scrimmage where you can introduce defense. Remember that assistant you recruited? Now it's time to split your team into position groups. Your players will get twice as many reps with half the distractions. Group 1 is your interior players. That's your center, your quarterback, and your Z, and they should go with you. Group 2 is the exterior players. That's the X and Y. They should go with your assistant. If you don't already know your players, you're gonna have to make your best guess at positions for week 1. But avoid the temptation to get into position hopping before a player demonstrates consistency with their first position. I like to have my position group separated by enough space to keep them from distracting each other, but close enough that I can see what's happening with group 2. If you don't have an assistant, you'll need to run one big group on your own. Now's the time to hand out your color-coded wristbands. Make sure each player has one. What you're gonna do is each position group is gonna run through their part of each play on the play card. If you have 2 players at a given position, let's say you have 2 at the orange X position, they're each gonna get an orange wristband. They'll just take turns running the play. So first player will run the play once, you run the same play again with the next group of players at each position. And there's gonna be a procedure for calling a play, and it's the same one that you're gonna use in the game so the players get used to it. It is run to your spot, find your job, okay. Let's talk about what that means. First, you say, run to your spot. The active players should then hustle over to their cone that matches their wristband and get into a good stance. Next, find your job. What that means is you're gonna quickly walk over to the first player, point at the play that you're gonna run, and you say, find your job. I like to have the player point at their position icon so you know that they know what you're doing. Now, one thing that's important is to make sure that you're doing this with your back to the line of scrimmage. So the defense would be there. The reason for that is that then the players don't have to mentally rotate the play. If you're facing the other direction, then they have to turn around and try to remember which direction. Finally, once everyone has the play, and I see that they're all in a good stance and they're frozen and ready to go, I tell my quarterback, okay. Now, I like a cadence that goes set, go. And with younger players, I like to tell them that set is a magic word that turns you into a statue. So you're frozen like a statue in your stance until the quarterback says go, and that's the magic word that means you can run super fast. So again, the procedure is run to your spot, find your job, okay. Run through the plays for about 5 minutes or until you've gone through each play twice, whichever comes first. Then remove the color-coded cone so they can practice lining up in the line of scrimmage without a guide. Don't be surprised if you struggle to get through every play. That's why you should focus position groups on the plays that involve them getting the ball. So, for example, the X and Y, they get the ball on the X sweep and Y sweep, X slant and Y slant. I'd make sure you get through those first. Group 1 is going to be the opposite. They're going to focus on the plays that are going to the center and the Z. That'll help you to manage your time and to make sure you get through the critical parts of the plays for each group. After another 5 minutes, bring the whole team back together for a teaching scrimmage. Now, I'm not covering defense in this video, but I think this is a good opportunity to talk about the differences between offense and defense. For the scrimmage, I'll go ahead and select my starting offense, put the rest of the players over on defense with my assistant, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna run through the plays as a full offense. Remember that procedure. Run to your spot, find your job, okay. We're gonna repeat that over and over and over again. The players get used to it, you get used to it. That helps to cut out a lot of the chaos that can happen in a 8U, 6U play calling situation. Make sure that everybody gets a chance to play both offense and defense in your scrimmage, and now you're ready for game time. If you coach in a league with a play clock, you know the stress of trying to get your young players into the huddle, call a play, answer whatever questions are on their mind, from what's the score to do we get treats at the end of the game even if we lose, or whatever it is that they want to ask about. Get them to the line and get the play run before the play clock expires. That's why I never huddle with the Spark offense. After every play, I just have the players go line up in their spots and I follow that same procedure. Run to your spot, find your job with my back to the defense. I go to each player individually, find your job, find your job, find your job. Answer any questions that they have individually, doesn't distract everyone else. Once everyone's ready, I say okay to the quarterback. So it's run to your spot, find your job, okay. Here's some other tips for your first game. It takes time for an offense to find a rhythm, so avoid having subs come in and out during a series. Wait until there's a change of possession. Don't have players playing multiple positions in the first week. At least wait until they're demonstrating consistency at their first spot before you have them learning a second. After a week or two, when you have a sense of who's best in which positions and who you might be ready to give opportunities in different spots, Prepare your substitution plan ahead of time. So whether that's series by series or if your league plays quarters, I would write out or use the personnel groups in Playmaker X to set your substitution plan ahead of time. Let's talk about customization. The Spark offense is not supposed to be static. What I mean by that is it's supposed to be the start or the spark to get your season going. But as your players grow in confidence, you can and should be adapting the plays to grow with them. For example, the Y sweep can easily be converted into a play action pass with a fake to the Y and a throw to the center. If you have a strong, accurate quarterback, you could fake the Z dive and throw a deep pass down the sideline. Here, I've combined the Z dive with the X sweep to create a great misdirection running play with a fake to the Z and a handoff to the X. If you've seen my Foundations video clinic, you'll recognize this as the TikTok play. Once your players are comfortable, you can even start playing around with new formations to disguise your plays. There's a lot to digest here, so let's just recap some highlights. First, color code everything. That's practice, that's during the game with the wristbands, that's making sure that anything you do in your playbook is color coded. Don't huddle, never huddle. Remember your play calling 1, 2, 3 procedure, be consistent with that. And then plan on customizing the Spark offense as your team grows in confidence. It should grow with you. Thanks for watching. Hope you can make it a great season.